Okay, this how-to video is going to talk about return path vires and adding return path vires for a differential pair. Many users want to add kind of return path vires when they're adding a via pair on a differential pair to just improve the signal integrity and performance of the differential pair. So I currently need an Allegro PCB designer with high-speed license to be able to do this. And I've got several methods to be able to do this. So if I just invoke the add connect command, I can start to route a differential pair. When I want to add vires, I mean, there's an option under the right click, there's a return path vires that allows me to pick some predetermined shapes and sizes. So if I wanted to maybe pick an offset one, that would be the default type. We can have a look at what an offset one looks like by looking at the settings. So if we look at the setup, obviously I can pick the return path net, the actual via pad stack that I wish to use, and then these are the different kind of predetermined offsets. So I want to use the offset one, click OK. When I add the vires now, let's just pick a via, you can see I get my two differential pair vires plus the two return path vires, so I can then carry on and route. Now if you wanted to come up with the user-defined version of these, there's something called a via structure, so you can obviously position some vires as you want them. You can include things like C-lines, you can include keep out areas, and then under the route via structure create, I can create something called a high-speed via structure that allows me to give it a name. So in this example, let's call it diff underscore high speed. I then window select the items that I want. I want the vires. I pick the origin point or the starting via, which is going to be that one. I'm then going to define the return path. So we'll say yes, and then I'll effectively pick the 4 vires that I want for my return path. I'll click complete the return path. It's going to start on the top, and then it writes out an XML file. So we'll save that out. Once that's there, I've got a couple of methods. I can do route via structure add to physically just add them, and you're adding it as a symbol, and then you can then just connect to it as you're routing. But a slightly better way that came out in QIR2 of 17.2, which was hotfix 9, allows me to set something up in Constraint Manager. So if I launch Constraint Manager, go to the electrical routing and vias rule set, I can then effectively pick the via structure that I want to use. So in this example, the diff HS. We'll click OK. If I look at my vires now for my differential pairs, you can see that that via structure is assigned to that differential pair. Then when I start to route now, when I double click and pick the layer that I want to go to, the via structure is available for me to select. I'll pick the return path, and we'll then just rotate the via structure. That allows me to effectively come down and place the via structure I want to place, and I can then continue on routing.